Visiting New York City was always a dream of mine, and I accomplished that dream some months ago. The flight from Stockholm was a long one, but as soon as the immense city's skyline came into view beneath me, I knew it was worth it, and the butterflies in my stomach took full flight. What would I do first? Go to the Empire State Building? Walk around Central Park? Marvel at the Statue of Liberty? All these thoughts and more rushed through me as I disembarked and made my way through LaGuardia. I'll admit, I had a very romanticized view of New York City. I've always been a bit like that, dreamy, ready to believe everything is roses. I was thrilled to see yellow cabs waiting outside the airport, just like in the movies. I loaded my luggage into one and told the driver my destination. I wanted to travel on a certain budget, so I booked a hostel to save some money.
Where are you from?
The driver asked as we pulled out. Sweden.
Where?
Sweden? You've not heard of it? I saw him eye me in the rearview mirror, then smile.
I can't say I have, ma'am.
It's fine. It was odd enough to know that the man hadn't heard about Sweden. And what was odder was the way he was constantly looking at me through the rearview mirror. He wasn't smiling or giving any expression. His blank face started to creep me out a bit. But once I entered the city, my nerves calmed down. So many people roaming the streets. New York's reputation precedes it. The famous song, New York, kept ringing in my ears. New York, concrete jungle where dreams are made of. My eyes dazzled, seeing the city so alive. I was on cloud 9, picturing the exciting experience coming my way. But the feeling didn't dawdle for more than 5 minutes. As soon as we passed the first traffic signal, the driver suddenly took up speed. Hey, what's going on? He totally ignored me and took a sharp left turn and then right and entered a dingy alley. He stopped the car and I realized I was about to be in big trouble. I immediately reached for the door, but the man took out a small bottle filled with a colorless liquid and sprayed it right onto my face. My vision began to blur slowly. A sick smile appeared on the man's face as he saw me fainting. When I woke up, it took a few minutes for me to realize that I might never see my family again. I was lying on a rusty bed. My hands were chained to the bed, and so were my legs. I was inside a small room, like an apartment. The walls were damp, and the room had a funny smell. I guessed the door to be locked from the outside, as it had no doorknob. Hello? Please, help me! Hello? Hello? The windows were bolted with a thick wooden plank. There was no way any living being could hear from this room. I started crying in fear. God knows what this man is planning to do to me now, I thought to myself. Suddenly, I heard footsteps, followed by a key unlocking the door. I'm here! Please help! The door opened, and a little girl about the age of 9 or 10 years old entered the room. She had a food tray in her hand. Her clothes were dirty. She had brown dreadlocks filled with dust and mud. She placed the tray near the bedstand and stood right next to me. She watched me blankly as I cried and pleaded with her. Please, call the cops. Help me.
I can't.
What? Why?
Because Mommy and Daddy want to have fun with you.
What? She turned around and ran away, like it wasn't a big deal for a kid her age to see a person tied and chained up like an animal in their house. I couldn't stop my tears, and out of panic, I wet myself. Within the next few minutes, a woman dressed like a homeless person came in. She shoved a piece of bread inside my mouth, and as I gagged, she laughed like a maniac.
Come on, little birdie. Don't give up so easily. We're just getting started.
Looks like you couldn't resist yourself, darling.
Saying this, the driver entered the room and hugged the woman from behind. Both of them kept staring at me like they were enjoying their favorite view together. The woman let go of the bread, and I coughed while trying to breathe.
My dad is going to find you. The CCTV camera will have the footage of your car's number plate. You guys won't get away with this.
They exchanged a sinister smile among themselves, and the woman punched me in the eye, and then in the nose. I tasted my own blood mixed with my tears, and she said in a low, creepy voice,
Do you think we're that stupid? Cameron always changes the number plate before hunting our new victims.
You don't think you're the first girl, do you?
They both laughed in their twisted joy, and then began to walk out of the room. The woman turned back one more time and said,
We're going to have to buy some toys for you, darling. Then the three of us can have some fun.
They closed the door behind me, and my hope of being free again started to die. I heard a big door closing, followed by a conversation between that woman and the girl.
Daddy and I will be back soon. Till then, keep an eye on her, okay?
Yes, Mommy, I will. Just like I did for Lucy.
Oh, that's my girl.
Oh my God. This family is fucking insane. Even that little kid is a psychopath, raised by two bigger psychos. After the couple left, the girl came into my room. She stood right next to the bed and checked me out from tip to toe. Her blue, glassy eyes saw through my soul. She then raised her dirt-filled small fingers and touched the locket on my neck.
I love this. What is this?
It's... my mom gave it to me when I was your age. Do you want it?
Her eyes widened, hearing the words she was thinking. She nodded her head, and an idea came to my mind.
Okay, you can have it. Just untie my hands so I can take it off.
But
Hey, do you want it or not?
I want it.
Then untie my hands. Go on, sweetheart.
She thought something for a few seconds, and then untied my hands one by one. As soon as my hands were free, I grabbed her and tied both of her hands to the bed. I freed my legs and got up from the bed in one jump. The girl didn't scream, didn't say a single word, until I turned back at her before getting the hell out of that house. What she said still gives me goosebumps.
You're the first one to get out.
I went to the cops, wearing my tattered jeans and a t-shirt with my bloodstains on it. I returned to the house with the cops, but the family was gone. They found 5 dead bodies of young girls in the dingy attic of that apartment. Those girls also came to New York as tourists. I don't know where that family is now, but if you 3 psychos are watching this, I hope you go to hell.
Hey guys, I hope you're enjoying the video. If so, please leave a like. And also, a small percentage of people that watch my videos are actually subscribed. If you want to support this channel and make this channel reach the 1 million mark, please consider subscribing. It's free and you can change your mind later. Enjoy.
My name is Steven, and I live at 342 West Pine Street. And ever since I moved to New York, terrifying nightmares haunt me every night. I wish that was my only concern, but unfortunately, it's the least of my problems. I'm telling this story so that in case I disappear, you will know what happened to me. I don't know who is after me or what they want, but I know it surely won't end well. It all started on a Saturday morning. My uncle had a big truck, so I didn't have to pay anyone to transport my things. As I was unloading a table, a girl came up to me and started talking to me.
I see you're just moving in. Are you new in town?
Hi. Yeah, you got me. My name is Mark. I reached out to shake her hand, but she just looked at me with the same strange smile she kept during the whole conversation. You're from the apartment, right?
Do you need me to help you with the move?
Her offer caught me off guard, so I just said no. No thanks. We're just finishing up and my uncle is helping me.
No problem. It was nice to meet you. I'm sure you'll be very happy here.
With a last smile, she just left. Wasn't this girl a neighbor? I decided to ignore her and continue with my move. A few hours later, the moving was done and I was alone in my new house. I lay down on the bed and looked up at the ceiling, enjoying the solitude of my new home. I walked over to the window and opened it. This was my first time enjoying the view of New York. I was watching the people walking down the street when something caught my attention. It was the girl who had greeted me earlier. She was standing on the sidewalk across the street, staring at me. What the fuck? How does she know I'm here? I waved awkwardly, but she didn't wave back. She just kept looking at me with that strange smile. Not knowing what to do, I closed the window and went back to bed. The next day, I went to do my first shopping before going to visit the Big Apple. I was in line at the supermarket when a person spoke to me from behind. Nice day, isn't it? Oh, of course, sir. You seem surprised. Is there a problem? No, just that I just moved in and I'm a little shocked at how friendly people are here. Don't get your hopes up. People here are not friendly. Only we are. What do you mean, we? It doesn't matter, kid. The important thing is that you'll be happy here. What? Who are you? Hey, do you need help with the bags? No thanks. Luckily, the cashier was calling me, so I turned and went quickly to her. In the meantime, I could see how that man was still staring at me. When I got home, I put everything in the fridge. I couldn't stop thinking about that man. Worried, I felt the urge to look out the window. When I lifted the curtain, I found something worse than I had expected. Not only was the man from the supermarket there, but the girl from yesterday and 3 other people were there too. They were all looking at me from different points on the street, but none of them were trying to hide it. They were staring at me, smiling in a gentle way. I closed the window in terror. I didn't know what to do. Over the next few days, it only got worse. Every time I looked at the window, I kept seeing them. There were more and more of them. And worst of all, no one on the street seemed to care. During those days, I had my first dreams about that goat-headed man. He started looking at me from the street like the other people, but every time I dreamed about him, he was closer and closer. It all came to the highest point on a Tuesday night. The TV was still on to light up my room, but with no sound. I woke up shaken, but this time it wasn't from a nightmare. Every night, I closed the bathroom door, but this time, it was open. A strange sound was coming from it. It was as if someone was there, breathing, watching me from the darkness. I looked quickly and the exit door was closed. There was no way someone could have entered. I grabbed a knife, gathered my strength, and walked slowly toward the bathroom. The breathing got louder and louder as I got closer. Those sounds were not human, but I refused to stay in my bed in fear. I reached out to the interrupter, and as I plunged my hand into the darkness, I felt the air from the breath of whatever was in there dampen my fingers. I mustered all my courage, and when I turned on the light, there was nothing. My little peace was interrupted when someone knocked on the door. Who could knock at this hour? I ran to the door, and when I opened it, there was no one there. I was about to go back into my room, but when I turned around, my suspicions were confirmed. That night, I was not alone. Someone had drawn a cross on my door. The next day, I went to the police, but they didn't give too much importance to what happened, as it could have been someone from my building just committing an act of vandalism. I was on my way back from the police station, desperate, until I heard her voice again.
Hey, you look sad. Do you need help with something?
It was the girl I had talked to when I was unloading my things. It's you. Get away from my house, you sick fuck. Desperate and in tears, I grabbed her by her shirt. What the hell do you want from me? Leave me alone.
Don't worry. You're getting closer and closer. Soon, you will be happy.
I'll kill you. Do you hear me? I'll kill you and everyone with you.
Sir, you're hurting me. Could you let me go? I don't even know you.
What? Confused, I looked around. All the people on the street were staring at me angrily. What's wrong with you, asshole? Before I could explain myself, a big crowd of people were punching and kicking me on the ground. As I curled up and covered myself from the blows, I could see the girl look at me with a gentle smile and walk away. When I was finally able to leave, I went back to my house. When I entered, I smelled a foul odor, but I checked and no one had come in, nor did I have any rotten food. I didn't go to the bathroom to check my wounds. I sat down on the floor and felt something in my pants. When I looked to see what it was, I found the hoof of a goat. I was sure that girl had placed it in my pocket. I threw it violently against the wall and I just cried. I had no money to rent another place. I thought about going to my family, but I knew these people would follow me and I didn't want to involve them. I was at their mercy, and there was absolutely nothing I could do. The days kept passing and everything got worse and worse. The putrid smell in my room is already unbearable. The dreams are getting worse and worse, and I don't even look out the window anymore, because I know that I will see at least 10 people looking at me. For some reason, the internet hasn't been working for days, and I'm very hungry, but I don't want to leave my room. I feel that something here is taking all the energy out of me and won't let me leave. There is no hope for me anymore. The only thing left for me to do is pray that this ends as soon as possible. Our entire family had to shift to New York when my father landed a heavy-paid job there. My mom and my grandma were from a small village in Japan, so they were worried about life in New York. But I was excited because I was done living in the outskirts. My parents decided to enroll me in a private school in New York as they could finally afford a high-quality lifestyle. I was 11 years old, but a bit more naive than the kids of my age. So we moved into a bigger city in a friendly neighborhood. My dad's office was on Fifth Avenue, the heart of the city. For the first few weeks, my dad used to drop me off at school, and my mom picked me up. But once I started making friends who lived close to my house, I stopped taking rides from my parents. My mom often scolded me for that, but I ignored it. I was already the new kid, hence I didn't want any more embarrassment. It was a Tuesday. My mom had to go to the dentist with my grandma, so my dad sent me his office car to pick me up from school. We planned to go to a basketball game, so I went to my dad's office. It was a huge building on Fifth Avenue. I've never been to any place like that before. So I was wandering in the big hallway on the ground floor while my dad was stuck in a meeting. He came out to see me once and said, "Kyle, please stay inside the office premise. I'll be down in 15 minutes. Okay. Here, take this money and get something from the vending machine." He got into the lift and went upstairs, while I started to head toward the big vending machine at the other end of the hallway. Everyone was so busy that they hardly noticed me. I was sipping a Kool-Aid when I felt a soft touch on my left shoulder. Being startled, I turned back and nervously spilt some drink on my jeans. A man in his late 50s was standing behind me. He seemed very rich from his attire. He smiled without blinking and said, "Oh no, I'm sorry." It's fine." "Let me buy you an ice cream. I feel really bad." "No, it's okay. Don't bother." I started walking away when the man again called out to me. "Why don't you come with me? I know this game zone right across the street. Maybe you can play some games there." But come on, it's not a big deal." "But It's just around the corner." As I said, I was naive and not well accustomed to the city and its people. So I thought, what harm would come from spending some time at the game zone? For free at that. I had to wait here anyway, so I agreed with the man and started to follow him. We left the office building and the man waved at a car parked at some distance. It was a black fancy car just like his suit. The driver brought the car to us and we hopped in. I didn't question why he was taking a car just to go a few steps, but rich people like wasting money. The man suddenly playfully pulled my cheeks and said, "So, what's your name?"
Kyle. And yours?
"Call me Jack." I gazed at the streets as we were passing by and realized something is not right. I looked at Jack in confusion and asked,
Why did we take the left turn? You said end of the street."
"Well, actually, kiddo, I lied to you."
What?
Relax, I ain't gonna hurt you. Saying this, the man moved very close to me and grabbed my hand. His sick eyes scanned my body. I started to feel very cold and suffocated at the same time. The strong cologne from his suit started to choke me. We stopped in front of a dingy alley. At the end of the alley stood an old apartment. A homeless woman was eating from the dumpster standing at the side of the alley. She looked at the car and then concentrated back on her food. The man grabbed me by the waist and placed another hand on my mouth so I couldn't scream. I was kicking in the air, trying my best to scream, but the man had his tight grasp on me. Tears rolled down my eyes as I thought my dad might be already looking for me. Just then, the man who was driving us called out to Jack. "Sir, that's not him!" I was almost fainting from having difficulty to breathe when Jack let me go and I fell to the floor. Lying on the ground, I overheard their conversation. What are you saying?" "I got a teenage boy for you. Red-haired Spanish boy. This boy is not him." "Oh, what the fuck? I can't let him go now. I will be exposed, you dumb idiot." That's when I knew I had to get up and run for my life. I sprinted like a hawk and the man screamed, "Catch him! Shit! Start the fucking car!" But I didn't stop. I didn't fall. I survived. When I finally reached the main road and saw a crowd filled in the streets, I collapsed on the sidewalk and started to sob. A cop was patrolling the area on his motorbike, and he noticed me on the side of the road. I couldn't say anything except for 3 words. "Dad, 5th Avenue." He took me to my dad's office. When we reached there, 4 more cops were already standing under the office building, and my mom and dad were crying in fear.
Mom! Dad! Kyle! My baby!
I ran to them and my mom took me in her arms. My dad hugged us and we were all in tears. But the story doesn't end here. While we were having this moment, I saw a man leaving the building in a real hurry and walking towards a black car on the other side of the street. I remembered this car. My face turned pale again and my mom asked,
What? What is it, Kyle?
That's him, Mom! Jack!
I pointed at the man. The cops turned back, following my hand, and the guy looked at us too. The moment he saw me, he ran to the car and one cop shot him in the leg with a stun gun. He fell on the road and the 4 cops circled around him, pointing their guns at him. My dad couldn't speak for a few seconds. And then, suddenly, he spoke. "Mr. Shatner? You pig!" He jumped on the man and punched him in the nose. He started to bleed and the other cops took my dad away from the scene. Mr. Shatner was my dad's boss. He was arrested with serious charges. Many were shocked to know that he was a pedophile, hunting prey in the very streets of New York. His driver was also arrested for helping him in this crime. This news made a big headline, and 3 more young boys came forward with their claim of being physically assaulted by this freaking psycho. We came back to Japan after this incident. My mom just didn't want to live there anymore. But I went back for my college education there. I now work here. My office is also on 5th Avenue. Whenever I go down for a break, I keep my eyes open for any stranded young kids to see whether or not they're getting followed by creeps.